How do you recognize AI technology? Oh, sorry. How can AI be used to trace cure for acute breast cancer in human and in what ways? Okay, yeah, that one is straightforward. It's just a question of data. But from what I know, I'm not a doctor, is that the earlier these things are discovered, the better your survivability. Now, but let me tell you, when we talk of cancer treatment is not the same everywhere. Cancer is a particularly deadly disease in terms of it's not like the normal bacterial disease we know, where, okay, you have the flu, you have malaria. Let's look for things that kill malaria. The thing is, cancer is human cells themselves. The only difference is that cancer cells are human cells. All human cells, they replicate, they grow, then they die cell by cell. I think every few years, all your cells in your body are new. All of them would have died and new ones born. So, but the thing is, those cells, there's a complex technology where the cells know when to die, and there's a kill switch and they die. Cancer cells don't die. They avoid that, and they avoid the growth loss from the brain. So they will grow anyhow, and they will avoid that kill switch, and they will do everything to avoid it. But the problem is they are also your cells. So which is anything that will kill your cells, will kill them, will most likely kill your cells. That's why cancer treatment is deadly. So cancer is a whole different ballgame. But now they've been trying also of chemical technologies, of radiation technologies, but now they've even gone to genetic level where they will take your genetic profile. But know that all these things are being fed to AIs. But because these things are relatively new, so you need tons of data to feed to the AI. When you now feed that data, the AI can crunch data and know that this particular treatment with people with this particular genetic disposition works better 90% of the times. Already now, biotech drugs are being tailored to your genetic makeup. Already now, weight loss programs are using AI because they found out that weight loss is not as simple as it seems. They will say, oh, have a keto diet, don't eat carbs, don't eat it. It's not as simple. For instance, they found out that for some people, when they drink ice cream, like most people, their blood sugar level will spike. They will develop insulin immunity and stuff, so they start getting fat. But they find out some people, when they eat the same ice cream, their blood sugar level actually drops, which is those people can consume all sorts of things and will not get fat, though there are few, but they're there. So they are realizing that it's genetic and makeup. So some startups have started now that actually you take a genetic swab and send them your genetic information. Based on that, they will now give you a diet, knowing because they have millions of records of the diet that work for people of certain genetic makeup. So things are going on, you get. So, but we might be far from some of those things. So when it comes to cancer, too, genetics is coming in, but those genetic technologies, like my brother's wife just died of cancer the last month, and my brother has cancer of the spine. It's called multiple myeloma. So that's how I learned about some of these latest things in the US. You get, they are making a lot of progress in it, and there are some cancer treatments places that they actually record a high degree of success. But one thing is clear, the earlier detection, the better. So AI can help in early detection. Then where AI will help is that all these new techniques coming up, they will need millions of records. But those techniques are only coming up in a few places for now. It might take 5 years to go mainstream because, for instance, my brother told me something like 7 years ago, 8 years ago, that the US, that there's a particular hospital in the US that developed a technique that if you have stroke and they can treat you within 1 or 2 hours, they will reverse the stroke completely. As he told me that information, 2 years later, his friend developed stroke, who is a doctor. But luckily, his friend works in that particular hospital in the US. So they treated him and reversed it. His friend is still performing surgery. Then, like 4 years ago, my brother fell down due to a stroke too. But by that time, that technique had spread to most American hospitals. So the hospital my brother was a surgeon also had that treatment. So they took my brother there and they completely reversed it. And my brother practiced surgery. He was still doing his heart surgery after that stroke. You get. So things are happening everywhere. People are advancing. So, but those things are based on data. But because this cancer treatment, a lot of them are new, so they will need to get data and then crunch those data through AI. And realize this, there are lots of what you call machine learning engineers who write these models. So now those machine learning engineers might not focus on a narrow field yet. You get what I'm saying? That's another issue. So which means funding must come to get people to come into that field. You get? Because if you have any knowledge of anything now, you won't go and attack the market where there's 1,000 people. You want to attack the market of 30 million people, 50 million people. You get? So that's it. But at times it might make sense to attack a small market if there is too much competition. Like they say, if you want to be an AI startup, look for a narrow field that people have not paid attention to, a super narrow field. Gather the data in that field and apply AI to that field. You get? So that's what I would say about cancer.